Coach, you guys are making history around here at Booker when you look at the wrestling program. Talk a little bit about what you see from the inside out.
I see the children every day showing up, and they're grinding. They're working really hard to improve themselves. They're working very hard to make themselves into the best people that they could possibly be. It starts with being a student first and an athlete second. They grind really hard in class. They make sure all their work's taken care of so that they have the most time that they can at the end of the day to work out and focus strictly on wrestling when they're there. Then when they're on the mat, they're there working as a team. They're helping each other work on their skills, develop abilities, technique. They practice hard, they run, they sweat. Sometimes they bleed, unfortunately, but the goal is to make them the strongest, most fit people that they could be so that they can compete at the highest levels.
There's a young lady here, Miss Perez. She's making history. Can you talk a little bit about her contribution? And forever, she will always be a part of the Booker Tornadoes legacy.
So Dylene's a trailblazer. Back 2 years ago, girls wrestling was sanctioned by the state as its own sport, similar to how there's a split between boys basketball and girls basketball, or boys soccer and girls soccer, tennis, those sports. Girls had to come up the hard way and wrestle with boys. And a lot of times, if they weren't in the lighter weight classes, they'd have to wrestle boys that were bigger, stronger, faster, more muscular, and mean. And it wasn't very inviting or a good environment for girls to learn the skills and to participate. Now that the state has sanctioned it as its own sport, girls that have come up that hard way are now able to compete against each other, and it is very, very high-level competition when you get girls against girls. And they're also ambassadors for the sport, showing girls that there's another skill and another sport that they can participate in and find success in and build their confidence, build their skill set. And girls wrestling is now one of the fastest growing sports in the state of Florida because of girls like Dylene.
You have a gentleman who just started wrestling this year as a senior, and he's on his way to states. That doesn't happen very often. Can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing?
Noe is a dream come true for his family, his friends, and obviously his coaches. You don't necessarily get an opportunity to coach just gifted freak athletes like Noe is. We saw him in one of his regional qualifier matches be able to do a full flip in the air in order to get a takedown on a guy. And to work with an athlete like that is just so talented and mentally engaged and will take direction and not sleep on his laurels of just being an athlete, but to build his skills and to listen is amazing. And he is the talk of the gym when he's wrestling. People don't understand how a guy his size can move the way that he does. People don't understand how a guy that big is that quick. And when you're standing on the mat and you're standing around it watching him and you see him just engage as quickly as he does, it's awe-inspiring to see a guy around 250 pounds move in the blink of an eye like that.
I've covered sports for decades, and when I look at this gentleman, I saw the baseball players yesterday, the Pirates and the Orioles, and I've been around NBA and NFL and college athletes. This guy looks like I could suit him up, or he could be suited up at any kind of elite level in any kind of sport. What are you seeing?
I see very similar. I see him competing at any level of sport, any sport, with the right coaching, the right technique. He's new. He's raw. He's undeveloped talent. So anybody that needs a strong, intelligent man, please reach out to him, contact him. He loves all sorts of competition. He loves individual sports. He's a good person in the room to work with his teammates. He tries to help people. He's well-spoken. It'd be really, really good to get him in your room no matter what sport that you have to offer.
Recently, you captured a runner-up for districts, and the trophy is here, and it will be here for years to come. How special is it to cement your legacy in this program and in Booker and continue that mission going forward?
So the legacy is a huge part of it. It's probably one of the top reasons that people compete in anything that they do is to earn the accolades that come with it. Being able to work with a lot of, I guess, young adults. I call them children from time to time because they're still growing, but young adults and teenagers that are getting ready to go be a part of our community, the amount of work and dedication it takes for them to accomplish something like this and to have something that they'll be able to hold on to or be able to point at for their kids or their grandkids or their friends, or whenever they come back they can drive by the school and have all those fond memories, is just something very special to be a part of, that you have that moment and you have that moment to share with other people.
Michael Arthur, a champion. Talk about that particular gentleman. And again, we talk about legacy and earning championships. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Arthur.
So Mike's a special guy. Mike, I've known him since middle school, when I teach math over at the middle school and I coach over here at the high school. So I met him when he was younger, and I got to see him come up academically, got to see him develop as a student, and then I got to work with him over here as a high school student. And to see him in his senior year become the 2023 King of the Island and win the Venice tournament at 145 pounds, and then to see him become district champion is remarkable. It's like a dream come true for me to be able to see somebody who's worked so hard and who's been a good person and made the good choices find the success that's storybook-like, where a lot of times you don't get to see the right ones get the right success. You don't get to see the people that should be in front of others and should be getting the accolades and talked well about, get that really good feeling and that good result at the end. And just to see him be able to have his hand raised on the podium and to wear the medal and be able to have that forever is something I'm very, very proud of being a part of.
In closing, Booker High School Tornadoes Wrestling, that has a good ring to it, and you're headed into Kissimmee. Fhsaa. This is big time. Give us your closing remarks, if you will.
This is probably the greatest sports atmosphere in the state. I invite everybody to come up and come see our Tornadoes compete. Silver Spurs Arena is a one-of-a-kind venue for something like this. There's 12 mats going at once. There's wrestlers from all across the state, Tallahassee all the way to Key West. Everybody shows up. There's people there in campers. There's people with body paint. They got signs. There's whistleblowers. There's everything going on. It's a party atmosphere, but it's also the highest level competition you can possibly see. It's just two athletes, shoes, singlets, headgear. There's no equipment except for their brains and their bodies and their heart. You got to come out and you have to see wrestling. It's growing in Florida, and we're trying to compete with all these other storied states with all their history of all this different competition they have. But Florida wrestling is real and it's out here, and we need to grow it as much as you can. So please come out to Silver Spurs Arena and cheer on our Tornadoes.
Thank you, sir.